Whoa. Good morning, students. Only 10 students joined till now. We will start meeting in a couple of minutes. Please be patient. Please mute your mics and stop your video streaming. Good morning, Mahita. Welcome to Expert Talk. I'm very happy that you accepted our invitation and you came forward to give presentation to Triple students. Now, fourth year students are present in their classroom. Third year students and second year students are listening from their homes because of staggered and blended learning. Only 1 year of students are allowed to attend college. So right now, fourth year students are in college. Third year students and second year students are staying at their home and attending online classes. Let me introduce you to audience so that they'll get familiarized with you. Uh, Mrs. Seelam Mahita has 12 years of experience in RTL design verification. She is working for Qualcomm for last 3 years. Prior to that, she was with Intel chip designing company for 9 years. She has bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering from Narayana Engineering College, Nellore. She passed out BME in 2007. She is JNTU gold medalist in year 2007. She has master's degree from Manipal University in VLSI CAD. So it's a brief biodata about her. Now I request Mahita to take over. I'll make her co-host so that she can unmute.
So, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, hello, students. A very good morning to you all. Today, I'm happy to be interacting with you and, showing you a different career option for you. Um, yeah, I'll talk about my job role, what do I do, and the skill set that are required, and options for you to reach there, and few new terms so that you can explore post this session. Let's try to be as interactive as it is. um, and yeah, let's get started. Um So, do you have any other expectations from this session? Can anyone talk about it?
For convenience sake, we have muted all participants' mics so that there will not be any inconvenience. We request
Okay.
all participants to make note of your queries and ask queries at the end of the session.
Okay, that's fine. I'll get
You
started.
can freely give your lecture and ask for queries or any doubts at the end of the session, because most of the students have this bandwidth problem. They are staying at home. At the
Okay.
end, I'll unmute all the participants. I'll give all rights to participants to turn on their videos or
Okay,
mics
sure,
so that they can.
sure, sure. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Um, yeah, I've set the expectations. I hope right. Let me get started. I understand that fourth year students are here, and second and third year students are listening from homes. But yeah, I'll try to cover. I'll try to make it as understandable, like as easy as possible, so that you'll get benefit out of it. So let me get started, right? So from the basics, you would be having a subject called switching theory and logic design, right? So here we study about the numbering systems and the gates, combinational circuits, and the sequential circuits and stuff like that. So I have listed a little bit about the basic logic gates that we have, AND gate, OR gate, and NOT gate, and all of it. So uh, yeah, anyway, it is like I'll be keep talking about it. So anyway, this is how I just wanted to make you remind, like rewind of these gates and stuff before going into my job role and the tasks that I do there. So yeah, this is about the basic logic gates that you all know about it. And from here we have something like adder, divider, multiplexer, so I can 4-to-1 multiplexer for you guys to start with, so that it would be easy for you to understand what I do. So yeah, we all know. Let's do a little brush up. Maybe for second year, third year students, I'm not sure whether this subject is covered already. But anyway, this is a digital combinational logic that we have. Four inputs and the select lines for it to pick any one of it. That this is like a truth table, right? So if the select lines are like 0 0, we pick the 0 line at the output y, and same way, like if it is 0 1, we pick the d1, and similarly for 1 0, d2, and 1 1, d3. And this is how we actually have a gate level circuit for this multiplexer, right? And this is what I wanted to show you. This is how it looks in the waveform, right? You would have already covered this one in your the switching theory and logic design subject, but still I wanted to bring it up so that I'll talk little more about this particular guy, right? So yeah, we all know that C is a general purpose programming language that you use right now in most of our operating systems and stuff. So now how do I write this particular thing, right? How do I generate this one on the chip? So there is something called hardware description language, which is like C and C++ based. It looks little like that, but it is not same, right? So there we write a code such a way, there are tools that convert that code into a gate level netlist and further onto the chip, right? So that's where I wanted you to introduce you guys to that. So this is how this is how the code looks like for a 4-to-1 multiplexer. So it's like a I'll not go details into this language and what are the constructs, what how do we write and stuff like that. I will leave that to you guys, but I wanted you like introduce that to you. So this is how it looks. So there is a module, and what are the inputs, the I0, I1, I2, I3, select 0 and select 1. So and I have an output y. So whenever there is a change, whenever there is a new value or the input, the output would get updated. This is how it is, right? Always at star is like star means this one. So whenever there is a change in these guys, the output would be updated based on the select lines that we discussed in the previous slide. This is the this is what we call this code of implementing that logic design, like 4 to 1 multiplexer. This is what it is. This is what we are calling it as a RTL design, right? RTL is like the same, the register transfer logic. So what here it means is like the code conversion, like we write a code such a way that I'll show you maybe the steps a little later. So now my role is kind of verifying a particular RTL design. Let's say in this particular case, I have this multiplexer here. How do I verify it, right? So I need to check all four combinations to verify this multiplexer is working fine or not. So for that, the same system verilog language, there are certain constructs that I can use and develop a test bench around this, so that I'll get an opportunity to verify all these guys, like all these scenarios. That's what we call, right? And yeah, this is how the test bench looks like. Um, yeah, this is how the test bench looks like. I have this guy instantiated here, and I need to drive all these input values, select lines, and after 45 nanoseconds you just finish the simulation, right? When we run the simulation, this is how. See, here you may be hearing a lot and lot of new terms. I suggest you guys to just note down and explore. You have a Google in front of you and the devices in front of you. So I suggest you guys to note down whichever term you haven't understood fully, but explore. I just wanted that keyword, right? Knowing those kind of there is a vast information available around us, around you especially, right? But you need to know what you really want to know. So this is kind of a one of the career opportunities that I wanted you to look at it once. So for that, I think this all session is about, right? That's why I tried to put in a lot of information in like couple of slides, and you all know I may not be able to cover everything in this 1 hour session. So yeah, that is the thing. You, if you don't understand any of the terms, please note down. If possible, we'll try to cover it at the end of the session, or otherwise please explore, right? There are many websites which I can provide the list to your professor, and he can pass on those to you, so that you can start understanding this language more detailedly, and how do you write the test benches, all of this sort, right? And even you can consider this for your 4th year project as well. Your project may not be this simple, but little more about it. Yeah, coming back to this particular test bench code, this is how it looks. I wanted to show you like this is how the test bench would look like. And here I'm directly giving that, okay, my inputs are all zeros, and the select lines are 0 0 at the initial time phrase. And after 2 seconds, like after two clock cycles, right, I wanted I0 to be 1, not off, not get here, right? So this is how I'm changing my inputs after like 4 clocks, 6 clocks, 8 clocks, something like that. And I'm changing my select lines as well. So this is how I test my scenarios. So this is called as a directed kind of a testing. I am not updating all the, I may not be covering everything, but still I'm giving certain values specifically in the test bench to try out on this design. And this generates a print statement here. Whenever there is a output change, I am printing these values to check whether they are correct or not, right? This may appear very simple. For this, why do we need a career option and stuff like that? But the real work that we guys are doing is not this simple. This has like around millions of gates in it, millions. So, and the combinations are not this easy. The inputs right now we have like around what, four inputs including selects. It's like six or 6-bit, right? So there we have like some thousands of bits of information and so much of designing that happens. That's why there are like a lot of people working on the test benches, verifying the RTL and the designers and stuff like that. And yeah, this is how the test bench looks like, and this is how we try to verify the given RTL design. Right now, I would like to introduce you to a different term that is called as a universal uh, verification methodology that we use for the verification. Right, see, if there are like four small 1-bit inputs, it's easy for us to write like this. But if there is a like I said previously, right, in the real world, there are like millions of gates and millions of stuff that we need to verify and close on. So this kind of a write up wouldn't be sufficient, right? So we might be, if we want to write like this, then it'll take years to finish one project kind of a thing. So there is certain methodologies that are available so that we kind of make the test bench or the verification person's life easy or streamlined. It is a standard way that everybody who are like kind of verifying this RTL design might be using this kind of a methodologist. Okay, let me get to the next slide where I would be talking little about this one. This is how if you ask me, my uh, this is what I'm doing at Qualcomm, right? And I've been doing it even with Intel. So this is how my test bench looks like. I'll not go detailed about my RTL design, what would be this one, because I don't think so. This is not sufficient. If I go into it, it'll take some, like it'll take multiple sessions to understand and stuff. So I would like to uh, explain you certain things so that you'll get little familiar with it, right? So this is what we are calling it as a test bench. This is a particular file where I instantiate the RTL module along with a test. This particular test file will have all these blocks. These are kind of a basic blocks for the any kind of a test bench, right? What is this test bench, right? I think I missed out explaining this one. So verifying the RTL, how do I verify is to give a inputs. So this is kind of an environment around the RTL design, so that which gives the input and tries to collect the output from RTL design the same way. It tries to interact with RTL. That is what it is. And yeah, there are certain components like sequencers, the driver which drives the input stream to the RTL. Monitor is like this guy would be monitoring all the outputs from the RTL. What are the transactions that are going in and coming out, kind of a thing. This together we are together calling it as an agent, right? The scoreboard will act as like a checker. This checks whether RTL output is correct or not. Okay. This together we are calling it as a environment. Okay. And this is about the UVM based test bench. I would recommend you guys to understand more, explore more on these guys, like the system Verilog. Anyway, I would list down the things that you might want to look into. And yeah, besides this is about the environment. This is what I code and I do every day, right? So here I have certain terms I wanted to show you. Like this is like a directed testing, random testing, and coverage metrics and stuff, right? So what is a direct testing? It's nothing but if there are a 4-1 multiplexer, if we discussed about it like 2 slides before, I think. But so yeah, if you directly give like specific scenario, like I wanted to test 1 0, what is the output of that 4-1 multiplexer? So this kind of a test bench, the directed testing way will give you a specific input pattern, right? And the random testing is like kind of a, it tries to cover randomly all the given possible combinations, right? If you consider the fourth one multiplexer there, we have 4 different combinations, right? So there this random guy will randomly pick any one of it and then drive it. That is how it is. And consider this being in, if I have a bigger design, like I was saying, in the real time, right, there will be a bigger design where we'll have like multiple inputs and the outputs. So we will write, okay, this select line, even if you consider the multiplexer like 10 to 1 or 16 to 1, the number of select bits would keep increasing, right? So there we might be having like around 16 different combinations, right? So that's what we are calling it as a scenario. Each combination of the select line is a scenario for us. That's what we call. And in the randoms, I give a specific constraint. There is a constrained random testing. I cannot just blindly random whatever value. There is a random construct available in the system verilog. So here, instead of giving this kind of a code, I can always choose like dollar random. That's a constraint, that construct that is available in the language. So if I just leave it to the test bench, it will randomly select any one of the 16 combinations. If you take the 16 to 1 multiplexer. So this is how we try to cover most of the scenarios and stuff. Yeah, this is about the random testing. And now how do I close on my verification activities, right? So how do I say whether I have covered everything and I'm done with this kind of a project? So there are some things like the coverage, right? This coverage will help us understand how much portion of the RTL we have exercised, right? How much portion of the RTL we have covered through our testing, be it a random or a direct way, right? That says like the code coverage. The code coverage is a new term again. I understand. You may need to explore more, but yeah, I just wanted to give one line about each one. The code coverage is the tells us like it's a metric to understand how much RTL is covered with our verification flow, right? And the functional coverage is like a specific scenarios that we write. Let's say I wanted, let's take this same example, right? I wanted D to be here I1, okay, I1 to be 0 and select lines such a way that it should select I1, right? All those kind of a specific patterns, I write it, I code this functional coverage. And assertions. Sometimes assertions are nothing but like beyond checkers. Checker is nothing but like whenever there is an output from the RTL, we try to understand whether that is a correct or not. And this assertion will say anytime that output should never go X, or it should never be like undefined, right? So those assertions and the functional coverage, checkers. Yeah, and one more thing I would like to say is about the reference model, right? So in our day-to-day activities, right? Uh, there is a RTL design which is written in the HDL, and there will be a parallel a C or C++ code available, which behaves both this RTL design and this behavioral model, which I'm calling it as like based on the C or C++ would behave same way. The output of it should be same, but just that this RTL can be converted into a netlist and then onto the chip. But this C or C++ code would be useful just to compare the output of that RTL, right? Yeah, mm, the most of the terms I feel I have covered, and yeah, let me go to this flow. Maybe I should have covered this. Some of you or the fourth year students, I'm not sure whether this gets covered in your VLSI subject or something, but I feel I will go little like few minutes I want to spend here. So how do we start a project? Like if there is a requirement outside, if there is a new chip that is required, how do we start? It starts with the design specification. So this design specification is like an RTL specific spec. So they will say like there is, so each rectangle box or the oval shape, right? It's a different career option, right? I don't do all of this, the entire thing. I come into this pink color functional verification and testing. So this is there are a set of people who does this, and I belong to this guy, and there is a different guys like sitting over this box. So likewise, each box here is a different team, a different skill set that is required. Okay. So yeah, these guys are called architects. Okay, these guys would try to understand what do we need, what special things that we need for this new chip or something like that, and they would decode that requirement into the um, the RTL specific. Like say right now I have 4 into 1, now I need to make it 6 into 1. So usually this not be this simple, but yeah, to make you understand, I'm just saying that. So that kind of a spec they will give, they will design, and they will help us like understand now what exact changes that the designer, RTL designer, has to do, and we have to do such a way that we verify all of it. So they come up with the spec. Spec is nothing but just a document, a Word document with all the content in it. And this behavioral description is like they will try to make us understand, and this we can consider it as like the C or C++ guys also here. So that's again a different team that works on, right? And then these guys would start developing their RTL based on this spec, and we parallelly would start working on the test benches, the environment to verify the RTL. Based on the spec we do all these things, and takes a lot of time. This is like a major thing because we have to clean up the RTL as much as possible at this stage, right? And then there is a process um, to convert this one. There are tools that are available to convert this one to a gate level netlist. What do I mean by this is, so this is a RTL code, right? And this is like a equivalent gate level circuit that gets into. So right now in slide the like couple of slides before I was showing, this is like a gate level netlist we can call, right? So out of this piece of code that gets generated here, and they would do, there are certain tools which does the logical verification whether the RTL and this gate level netlist are working same way or not. That is also very important. And then they will try to understand how do you place them on the chip, how much area that is available, how should I place this all gates and stuff like that. That is what it is. This is called the whole gate level to fab. This is called the back end we call, and this is the front end. Okay. And yeah, I haven't worked on in any of these ones except this pink color one. Usually we can choose to move like after spending some years here, if I wish to go I can go, but it is slightly difficult because the skill set here is different, the tools used here are different, right? um, yeah, this is the ASIC flow, and once this is final, they will send it out to the fab. Okay. Um, yeah, now I would like to talk about the skill set that are required for any RTL design verification guy. So I'm specific here because I go into that RTL verification, right? So for that, anyone needs to understand the system Verilog. This is the industry standards that I'm listing down here. The system Verilog for verification, that's the HDL language, which helps us write the test bench, right? And this UVM methodology is a way how the test bench should look like, the structure should look like, right? And along with that, it'll be good if we know any scripting languages like Perl or Python. Spelling mistake here, but yeah, it'll be useful so that we can automate certain processes during this uh, you know verification. And it'll be useful if you are exposed to C or C++. Anyway, I think C would be covered for you, but yeah. And yeah, these are like minimum things, but I felt I should tell you guys, like Linux and exposure to these and the editor commands would be useful, and any kind of a RTL simulator would be required. And now these are the skill set that anyone would look like, say, right, the outside. If I want to hire somebody, I wanted the other guy should be on top of these things, right? um yeah, now for you, what are the options that are available to, if this, whatever talk that I have done till now, if this excites you, and this, if you think that you should get into this, what are the options for you too, right? So you have the uh, if you still feel that you wanted to learn more, you can do MTech or MS, you can go to like further studies. Or like if you I'll tell you frankly, like MNCs, like the product based companies, it is slightly difficult to hire freshers. This is not to discourage you, but this is the ground reality. This is the fact, right? So what I have seen, or what I've suggested my other cousins also, is like whoever are interested in this, is to join like any institute, so that they get the exposure to all of this skill set, and they would be able to do certain projects also, right? uh, so yeah, these are the things that I felt I should uh, you know uh, bring it in front of you. This is about you. And one more thing I feel I should cover, in general, right? This career opportunity or this kind of a requirement is increasing day by day in India. Okay, that's what is what I felt. It's like growing like anything. And the salary wise, yes, this is like one of the high paying career option that are available outside. And overall, in this 12 years, I feel this is exciting. And to know what is the spec, what this guy designer is designing, I need to figure out a bug there. I need to make sure that there is no issues in that RTL. It is as per the spec, right? So all these tasks are exciting me a lot, along with the salary. So that's why I'm able to continue, even after spending this long. I haven't moved out of this field. Like I've been inside this functional verification a box. Um, so yeah, I think that's all I have. Um, I'm done, Varaprasad Garu.
Yeah, it's okay. The session was very informative.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any issues even if you end the session before the schedule, because we have got more than what we expected. Electrical and electronic students, they have this kind of negative feeling. So they learn more than anybody else, whether it is electronics communication students or take your case, you are from biomedical
Yes.
engineering background, but still you got into PG course,
Right.
VLSI PG course, and then you ventured into VLSI. Many of the people they have not been into VLSI, even though their specialization is VLSI. They don't want to take challenging jobs. They don't want to take target oriented. 2 months or 3 months, you have to update the chip every 2 or 3 months, and then you need to change the name.
Correct.
So they don't want to work in such a stressful environment. So they moved into computer side or networking side. So students, I always tell you about CAD, computer aided design.
Right.
Everything is CAD. A civil engineer uses computer for designing house. In similar
Right.
manner, an electronics engineer uses computer to design a very, very large scale. That is, we
Right.
generally call it as abbreviated as VLSI. We cannot design thousands of transistors or lakhs of transistors or millions of transistors on paper. So we have to take help of computer. So that is where very large scale integration is a CAD tool. So we need special language for writing code for such things. I already told you in class, it is called as hardware description language. We have two versions of it. One is Verilog and another one is VHDL. They are not so complicated. If you put 2 or 3 days effort, you will be good in HDL. And all these electronic design automation tools, broadly we call EDA, electronic design automation tools. They're easy to learn. Electrical and electronics engineers, you have more opportunities than anybody else, because you're also good at circuits.
Right.
Ultimately, at the end, all transistors are either resistors or switches, or they're used as amplifiers.
Right.
So nobody else have this idea of be efficient at the end of the day. So I request all electrical engineering students to look into electronics as a career opportunity. Don't stick yourself to electrical. Don't feel yourself as a electrical guy. Don't restrict yourself to generation or power generation or power transmission or power distribution or taking care of home appliances, fans, fridges, grinders. They're all electrical, but now they're all controlled by electronics. You have to understand interdependency of each engineering field. Now there is no more mechanical is heavily influenced by electrical is heavily influenced by electronics. All these three are heavily influenced by communication. All devices, they are interacting. So try to understand, it's a very competitive world we are into. 2021, uh, already Mahita mentioned that there are so many career opportunities in VLSI. uh, uh, she is taking care of that pink box verification and testing. So many opportunities are there. You can choose an option and you can make a career profession, and you can become professional in it by taking a very short course. As far as I am concerned, I personally feel that whatever you are studying in BTech electrical and electronics engineering, whether it is linear and digital integrated application, or digital integrated application logic gates, so those subjects are more than enough to be good in electronics. But you need experience of CAD tool. So
Right.
all those CAD tools you can learn from coaching institutions, training institutions. Even we have government organizations, it's called as CDAC. They give you PG diploma courses. They are very good. They also give you for the good thing is you have to write an entrance examination to get a seat in CDAC. Okay, students, please try to don't run behind degrees. Try
Yeah.
to run behind a profession or career which gives you long term satisfaction and pay you very well. Doctors get highly paid. Similarly, engineers also get paid heavily. The only reason is you must be an expert in your area. Try to choose a field which is growing and which is heavily dependent on engineers. Nobody else can do this job. A degree guy cannot do this. A chartered accountant cannot do this. Only an engineer can do this. With electrical and electronics background, you will succeed. So the main motto, I teach you electrical engineering, but I always insist you to go for, I also teach you neural networks and fuzzy logic, because that's the future. Everything is autonomous. We want to give thinking capacity. We want decision making capacity to every device. Only human beings can take it. So we take decisions. Now we want machines to take decisions on behalf of us. The future is artificial intelligence, cloud computing. If you still want to stick on to the basic core engineering, and if you still want to only talk about generation, power transmission and distribution, even they are getting rapidly changed. Now we have deregulated decentralized power system, we have distributed generation, we have smart grids. Smart grid is nothing but existing electrical power transmission plus intelligent controllers. So try to understand that a controller exists in a chip. Where today's presentation is all about designing a chip. Okay, so I hope students understood it. And one of the student raised a question through chat. Ma'am, how much salary at present? That's the question.
That's confidential.
Okay. So any other
But
questions,
it's very
students?
high. To give you an idea, like if you get into a product based company, which I felt for the freshers, BTech freshers, so was I audible?
Yeah. The two sentences unfortunately got muted. Can you repeat them once again?
So I was saying I cannot tell my salary, but still I can give you an idea. Like a fresher, like there are certain things. If you get into, I have been with Intel and Qualcomm, and I know somebody, like I have friends in some other companies, right? What these product-based companies would do is like they would go to IITs or NITs or VIT. They do the campus placements, and then apart from this hiring, they do like 3-year experienced guys interviews and all. So how do I enter inside this is like, what I suggest is you do MTech into these colleges, or the list of colleges, or sometimes it is not easy for all of us to get into, right? Even I haven't done my MTech or BTech in such reputed colleges, but still there are options, just that you should have that zeal to get into it, and this should excite you so that you can get along for longer time, right? And for any, even if you take an average salary, it starts with like 12 lakhs per annum, right? Yeah, I hope I answered a little, at least to give you an idea.
Uh, Dear students, I'm giving permission to unmute you, unmute yourself. I've just checked it. If you have any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask questions directly to the expert. I've given permissions to you all. You can unmute your mic and you can talk to the expert. Or if you are shy, you can put a chat message like 711A0222 did. You can send privately also. You don't need to post the chat publicly. I hope that you don't have any questions or queries. Thank you, Mahita. Thanks for not audible. You're not audible.
So one thing I wanted to just give one more suggestion is like, you have to be guys, like you have everything available right now. Okay, and the kind of accesses that you have right now, we didn't have it. We really didn't have it. We had to slog a lot in the library to figure out what's happening. But now you have the accesses, please get into it. And you always try to be an open mind to accept and understand what's happening. First, understand the career options that are in front of you. You don't need to, everybody don't need to come into, whatever I said or something like that, but you have a lot variety of options available. And just that you need to know what's happening around. People like me, from a different field, they come and talk to you. You try to understand, explore a little. I'm not saying you just get into whatever I said, and you don't need to start learning everything, but you try to understand, okay, would this excite me? Can I get into it? Would I be able to do it? All these questions, ask yourself. Know yourself first. And you should always, any career or any field you take it, right, one thing you remember, like, whatever is there, you should not be a repetitive worker. You should give an enhancement to whatever is happening, right? You should be you should bring out the initiatives. You should bring out the add-ons to whatever is already existing. So yeah, that's all. You are very young. You have that energy, and you should just need to focus and have that burning desire in you. You will get it. Okay, all the very best for you guys. And yeah, it was really, I'm very happy to be interacting with you. And I must thank Varaprasad Garu and the management behind to have this session with you all. Just that it is very unfortunate that we are talking
Thank you.
all
Thank you very much.
virtually. Yeah,
Dear students, don't get. I'm very happy that even though you're at your homes and you're attending the session, uh, the title itself is not interesting to students. Most probably, ECE students will get excited with the RTL design verification, but I did not brief you. Still, you all managed to join the class. Most probably 50% of you would have not been into the groove, and maybe you are not aware of all these things, but still you are hooked up to the class, and all the people who are listening, fourth year students were listening from their classroom. We have projected it in classroom, and they are listening parallelly, and these students, they're very well. So if you have any queries, if you have that shyness, initial to interact with the expert, you can talk to me privately. I'm available in department. We also have career guidance cell. We will definitely guide you into VLS at any level. Okay, it's really. I was expecting this lecture to happen some 3 years back. So since 3 years, I'm planning every day, but Corona took us to extreme levels. We were forced to do things virtual in this academic year. So thanks to Corona and thanks to technology, we are comfortably staying at our homes, and we are able to do our jobs perfectly. So thank you very much. Okay, have a nice day. I'm ending this meeting. Second year, third year students, you can join third period. It's 10:45. You can join third period. Fourth year students, classes will continue as per timetable. Thank you, Mahita. Have a nice day.